Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. We are from Group 3 and today we will be presenting question 2 under the topic of maintenance. So the question given is Samson and Dalila have 4 children out of their marriage. The first child is Adam, who is 18 years old and still studying in a private college. The second child, Eve, 12 years old and mentally retarded, who is studying at a special school. The third child, Joseph, is 10 years old, and the last child, David, is 8 years old. Both of them, Joseph and David, is still studying in a primary school. However, in this case, Samson has a mistress, and he often spends most of his time with her, and he has been neglecting Delilah and all of her children. Hence, in this case, Delilah wants to know as her and her children's right to maintenance. Therefore, from the question, there are two issues that we will be discussed today. The first one is whether Delilah has the right to claim maintenance for her children, and the second issue is whether Delilah has the right to claim maintenance for herself. Now, let's look at the first issue, which is whether Delilah has the right to claim maintenance for all of her children, Adam, Eve, Joseph, and David. As for the law, we refer back to Section 87 of the Law Reform Marriage and Divorce Act 1976, which provides that the definition of child can be referred back to Section 2 of the Child Act, which stated, a child is a person who is under the age of 18 years old. However, in Section 95 of LRA, it provides that the orders of maintenance shall be expired if the child has attained the age of 18 years old, or where the child has physical or mental disability, or where the child is still pursuing higher education or training, then the orders of maintenance will be expired on the ceasing of such disability or the completion of further education or training. We also refer to the case of Sheila Shirley. So in this case, the court, after considering the financial situation of the parties, the age and the requirements of the said children, the court is satisfied that a reasonable sum of maintenance husband should be paid for the children is Rm 2,000 each, and the court ordered so until they attain the age of 18 years old or until they complete their tertiary education. We also refer to Section 3, Subsection 1 of the Married Women and Children Maintenance Act 1950, which allows the woman or the legitimate children to apply for maintenance from the man or the father if he refuses or neglect to maintain them. Besides that, Section 92 of the LRA provides that it is the duty of the parents to maintain their children, regardless of whether it is under their custody or the custody of the other person. So, referring to the case of Liu Kuai-hua and Ng Kok Sang Philip, the court stated that in identifying whether the mother or the father is responsible to pay the maintenance, the court will also look into account the capability of the wife. However, referring to the case of Parkunan Achulingam and Kalayarasi Priyasami, the court stated that the wife's obligation to support a child is only a secondary, and it is a basic duty of the husband for providing a child's maintenance. Lastly, we refer to Section 3, Subsection 3 of the Married Women and Children Maintenance Act 1950 that states, an allowance ordered by the court under Subsection 1 and Subsection 2 shall be payable from the date of such neglect or refusal or from such later date as may be specified in the order.
Generally, applying to Section 87 of LRA and Section 2 of the Child Act 2001, a child can only be defined as a person who is under the age of 18 years old. However, in identifying as regard to the age of receiving maintenance, Section 95 of LRA should be applied. Applying Section 95 of the LRA, Adam is still entitled to claim maintenance even though he has already reached the age of 18 because he is still studying in tertiary education. As for Eve, she has the right to claim it as she is still under the age of 18 years old. And even after she reaches the age of 18 years old, she will still be entitled to claim maintenance as she is mentally retarded, and there may be no chance of recovery. As for Joseph and David, both of them are entitled to claim maintenance under the Section 95, as both of them are still under the age of 18 years old and still studying in primary school. Next, applying the case of Sheila Sri Shirley Gomez and Raymond Shilendran anak lelaki Simon, Delilah may claim maintenance for all of her children as Eve, Joseph, and David are all under the age of 18 years old. And even though Adam has reached the age of 18, he is still in tertiary education. Delilah has the right to claim maintenance on behalf of the children as they are all their legitimate children. Section 3, subsection 1 of the Married Women and Children Maintenance Act 1950 clearly allows Delilah to apply for maintenance because Samson, the legitimate father, had neglected to maintain her and the children. Then Section 92 of the LRA clearly stated that the parents, Samson and Delilah, have to maintain their children, regardless of whether their children are in their custody or the custody of any person. As for this case, all of the children are under their custody, which means either Samson or Delilah must give maintenance. Applying the case of Lee Kuiwa and Ng Kok Seng Philip, the court stated that the duty is not solely on Samson to pay maintenance, but the court will look into the capability of Delilah. Nevertheless, in the case of Pakunan Achulingan, the priority of providing maintenance is on the part of the father, Samson. By virtue of Section 93, subsection 1, para A and B, Delilah has the right to claim maintenance for her children as Samson had neglected his responsibility to provide for his children, and the fact that he spent most of his time with Zaza, his mistress, indicates that he had deserted Delilah and the children. Meanwhile, Section 3, subsection 3, explains that Samson shall pay the maintenance from the date he refuses to pay or the day he neglected his children. Next, the court will take into account the day when Samson started to neglect the children. Last but not least, in conclusion, Delilah has the right to claim maintenance from Samson for all her children as they are entitled to receive the maintenance.
So, my name is Tengku Anis and I will be discussing the law of the second issue, which is whether Delilah has right to claim for her maintenance from her husband, Samson. So, the law, we refer to the case of Free Borthwick, where it is the husband's duty to maintain his wife's stamps from the institution of marriage. And from this case, we also extract the principles that a husband has to maintain the wife for as long as she is alive and willing to continue to live with him. While in the case of Moy Sui Heng and Lee Hong Ki, the court stated that if the wife has gone through a valid marriage or custom, then she is entitled to claim the maintenance from the husband, and the court has power to issue an order if the husband refuses to pay the maintenance to the wife or his legitimate child. So this case also illustrates the meaning of a wife itself, where in this case that even though the plaintiff is a second wife, she is still entitled to the maintenance. Next, Section 5, subsection 2 of the Married Women Children Maintenance Act 1950, where it stated that no wife shall be entitled to receive an allowance from her husband if she is living in adultery or without any sufficient reason she refuses to live with her husband. What about in this case? Does Delilah commit adultery, or if she refuses to live with her husband, will be discussed in the appellation by my other group mate. Now we are referring to the case of Requisa and Requisa, where it is stated that it is the husband's duty to provide the maintenance to his wife unless he could prove to the court that the wife is living in adultery or the wife is refusing to live with him without any sufficient reason. Now, what happens if the husband still refuses to pay the maintenance? This is where Section 3 is enforced. So Section 3 stated that the court may make an order to pay monthly allowance as maintenance upon those who neglects and refuses to maintain their wife or a legitimate child of his which is unable to support themselves, or upon proof as the court seems reasonable. The allowance also should be payable from the date of the neglect or from the date that the court has already specified in the order. Now we are referring to Section 3, Clause 1, where in the assessments of maintenance, the husband is liable to pay the maintenance to his wife according to the needs and to the means of the parties. So the means and the needs of the parties is a question of fact. So the court may take a look on the circumstances and may reduce or increase the amount of the maintenance depending on the circumstances of the parties. Next, we have Section 3, Subsection 3 of the Married Women Children Maintenance Act 1950, which stated that the maintenance order shall be payable from the date of the husband neglect or refusal, or from such later date that the courts may specify in the order. So, before the amendment, by referring to the case of Aminullah and Sumbayavati, the claim from the wife can only be made in the durations of 1 year or 12 months. But in today, after the amendments that were made, we refer to the case of Lee Yu Lan and Lin Tan Chai, and also the case of Lin Tin and Yap Moi Hee and another, where on the case of Lee Yu Lan and Ling Tan Chai, it stated that any areas of maintenance may be claimed from the date of the first incident of neglect or refusal, be it 10 or 15 years after. While in the case of Lim Tin and Yap Moi Hee and another, where the husband errors in paying maintenance from the year of 1998 to 2003, which amounting to 54,000 ringgit, is affirmed by the appeal court. So this case is to illustrate the duration that where the first incident happened in 1998 and the claim that were made in year of the 2003. Moving on to the last page of law from the second issue. Section 4 provides that if the husband fail to pay the maintenance according to the court order, the court has right to order the husband to actually be penalized, either by being ordered to pay an additional outstanding sum amount of the maintenance, or imprisonment for a term which may extend 1 month for each month's allowance remaining unpaid. However, by virtue of the case of Yap Kisi and Phua Thiam Lai, the court will take into consideration first which of the husband defense to the unpaid maintenance, and alternatively the Married Women and Children Enforcement of Maintenance Act 1968 provided by Section 4 of the Act. The court also granted the power to make an attachment of earning order if it just so to make, after considering the capacity of the husband and the needs of the wife and children. So the courts will take everything into consideration, and the amount will be determined by the earning of the husband and the capacity of the wife and the needs of the children as well. Now I will pass the floor to my next fellow presenters.
Applying to the case, Delilah has the right to claim maintenance during the marriage, as it is the husband's permanent duty to maintain the wife as long as he is alive and living with him by providing her food, clothes, shelter, living expenses, and also dental treatment as per the case of C&C. Applying to the case of Rakiza and Rakiza, as per the Section 5 subsection 2 of the same Act, the said duty may only be excused upon Samson if he succeeds in proving that Delilah refused to live with him without sufficient reason, or she is living in adultery. However, in this situation, it is not Delilah who refuses or is living in adultery. It is Samson who commits an affair with Suza and neglects his family. Thus, per Section 3, Subsection 1 and Subsection 3 of MWCA 1950, as Delilah is still living as Samson's wife and not living in adultery, the court has power to order Samson to pay the monthly maintenance expenses to Delilah as she is still legally married to him. Samson shall pay the maintenance from the date of the neglect or refusal or as from the date specified in the court order. Therefore, in determining the amount of maintenance, the court may decide according to the means and needs of the wife. However, as per the case of Amritlal and Sombayavati, the court may only order the maintenance to be paid not more than 1 year of arrears, but in Li Yulan and Lim Tan Chie, the arrears of maintenance can be claimed from the date of neglect of refusal, be it 10 or 15 years. Therefore, we can apply in the latest application in the case of Lim Tin and Yak Mui Hee and another in 2012, where Delilah should be allowed to claim for arrears in maintenance exceeding 1 year, if any. Therefore, if Samson failed to comply with the court order to pay for maintenance upon Delilah, as per Section 4 of the same Act, the court may order Samson to be penalized either by being ordered to pay an additional outstanding sum of maintenance or imprisoned for a term which may extend to 1 month for each month's allowance remains unpaid. However, he may have the right to be heard by the court as per the case of Yak Kisi and Phua Tan Lai. Besides, to supplement prior provision, Section 4 of MWCEMA 1958 provides the court power to order attachment of earning order, in which if Samson fails to pay the maintenance as per the court order, the court may order an attachment of earning order to be made upon him. However, the earning order may cease to effect if Samson already were penalized under any act regarding the same cause of action, in which in this case failure to pay the maintenance. As per the conclusion, Delilah is entitled to claim for maintenance from Samson.
That's all for our presentation today. Thank you so much for giving your full attention throughout the presentation.